Well, good morning, Icon family. Welcome to Icon Online. My name is Kelly, and I'm so glad that all of you are joining us today. And happy October, everyone. I know that it's October 3rd, but still, I love the month of October. I've got my little Hey Boo October Halloween mug this morning. Love October. It feels like fall is finally starting to come. I mean, here in Texas, it's like we're still sweating to death, but it's whatever. So happy fall, happy October, happy Sunday. And just have a couple of quick things to go over. I'm going to do this really quickly because today the message that we have for you, it was a conversation, and as usual, the conversations that we record for you typically go a little bit longer. So I just want to kind of breeze through some things really quickly. First of all, connection cards. If you have never filled one out before and you would like to be able to stay updated on anything that we have going on around Icon, go ahead and click on that button in the chat. And it'll take you to a place where you can fill that out just so that we can keep you informed and up to date on everything we have going on. Secondly, to all of you who continue to give to Icon, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you for being willing to give of your resources in order for this church to continue. We're just super, super grateful for that. And as always, if you have a need in your life, a financial need in your life right now that you could really use some help with, we would love to be able to partner with you in whatever way that we are able. And so if you want to send us an email, if that's you, if maybe you're struggling to pay rent this month, or maybe you're struggling for groceries, or whatever it may be, we are all better together. And when we all come together, there is enough, and we want to make sure that you have what you need. So just send us an email and let us know if there's any way that we can partner with you to help you to meet those needs. Okay, so here in a second, we are going to go into a time of worship, and then straight after that, we're going to go into a wonderful conversation that I had last night with two of our very own from our Icon family, Adrian and Melissa. And just to give you a little bit of a background on what kind of sparked this conversation, Melissa started a women's small group a few years ago at Icon, and this group is full of these amazing women who have just come together and really have done so much good, not just for people within our congregation, but also for other people that they know and love, and there are just some really good things happening out of their group. And so we thought for our last Sunday of our Where is the Good series, we just thought it'd be great to have a conversation and highlight some of those good things that are happening as a result of this beautiful community that they are building together. And so they're sharing some of their story with us this morning. And so feel free to engage in the chat, to comment, to share. If you want to continue to share the goodness that you are seeing around you, we would love to hear that or see that and read that in the chat. So we're going to go ahead and go into worship and then into this conversation, and then we will come back at the end very briefly before we move on with the rest of our day. So whatever way feels comfortable for you, just use this time of worship to maybe quiet your spirit, to maybe take some deep breaths, do some breath prayer, whatever you need to do to be able to center yourself and to connect with God. And then we will listen to this conversation, and then we'll come back at the end.
I searched the world, but it couldn't fill me. Man's empty praise and treasures that fade are never enough. Then you came along.
Just kidding. That was the wrong video. Would it even be a Sunday if we got everything right? I don't think so. So anyways.
We threw that video out.
Okay.
And we're playing the new one.
How do I have to push something?
Yeah, just the same button.
This one?
Yeah, I fixed it.
Okay, we'll
Hopefully.
See.
I saw Satan fall like lightning. I saw darkness run for cover. But the miracle that I just can't get over, my name is registered in heaven. I believe in signs and wonders. I have resurrection power. Still the miracle that I just can't get over, my name is registered in heaven. My praise belongs to you forever. This is my testimony from death to life. 'Cause grace rewrote my story. I'll testify by Jesus Christ the righteous, I'm justified. This is my testimony. This is my testimony. Come together, sons and daughters, our blood and washed in water. Sing the praises of the Spirit, Son and Father. Our God will finish what He started. Yes, our God will finish what He started. This is my testimony from death to life. 'Cause grace rewrote my story. I'll testify by Jesus Christ the righteous, I'm justified. This is my testimony. This is my testimony. Yes. If I'm not dead, then you're not done. Greater things are still to come. Oh, I believe. If I'm not dead, then you're not done. No, no. Greater things are still to come. Oh, I believe. If I'm not dead, then you're not done. Greater things are still to come. If I'm not dead, then you're not done. No, no. Greater things are still to come. Oh, I believe, yeah. This is my testimony from death to life. 'Cause grace rewrote my story. I'll testify by Jesus Christ the righteous, I'm justified. This is my testimony. This is my testimony. This is my testimony from death to life. 'Cause grace rewrote my story. I'll testify by Jesus Christ the righteous, I'm justified. This is my testimony. This is my testimony. In the crushing, in the pressing, you are making new wine. In the soil I now surrender. You are are breaking new ground. So I yield to you and to your careful hand. When I trust you, I don't need to understand. Make me your vessel. Make me an offering. Make me whatever you want me to be. I came here with nothing but all you have given me. Jesus, bring new wine out of me. In the crushing, in the pressing, you are making new wine. In the soil I now surrender, you are breaking new ground. You are breaking new ground. So make me a vessel. Make me an offering. Make me whatever you want me to be. God, I came here with nothing but all you have given me. Jesus, bring new wine out of me. Jesus, bring new wine out of me. Jesus, bring new wine out of me. 'Cause where there is new wine, there is new power, there is new freedom, and the kingdom is here. I lay down my old flames to carry a new fire today. 'Cause where there is new wine, there is new power, there is new freedom, and the kingdom is here. I lay down my old flames to carry a new fire today. So make me a vessel. Make me an offering. Make me whatever you want me to be. I came here with nothing but all you have given me. Jesus, bring new wine out of me. Jesus, bring new wine out of me. Oh, Jesus, bring new wine out of me.
Well, welcome everybody to Icon this morning, and I'm really thrilled to have two wonderful people with us. We have Adrienne and Melissa, who are part of the Icon family and friends of mine, and just two amazing individuals. And today we're just going to have a conversation. We are in a series called Where is the Good? And this is our final week. And we just thought it would be cool to have this conversation with a couple of women who just getting their perspective on what it means to them to look for good in the world, what it means to them to bring goodness to others. And yeah, so welcome, ladies. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Yes,
It's
it'll
nice
a
to
party.
be here.
We were just saying a second ago that like we thought about having like our wine or our beer with us, but I was afraid that maybe I would get a little too chatty if I had a glass of wine during the conversation, so I decided to just, maybe do that later. So, but we're just gonna launch into it today. I'm just gonna ask some questions, and we'll just kind of see where the conversation takes us. So, okay, so for both of you, as I said, we're in this series called Where is the Good, because it's important, especially, in times when everything feels hard. It's important to be intentional about looking for the good. And so maybe could each of you talk about, is it easy for you, or does it tend to be harder for you to be able to see the good around you in challenging seasons?
I think for me, it's definitely really hard because I can tend to be an isolator. When things get a little crazy around me, or when times get tough, like a pandemic or changing careers, things like that. So I think that can be really difficult. That's my coping mechanism, is to isolate. So I feel like our group has allowed us to always have that in place, to where we can see each other and we can talk to each other, and we kind of just let the conversation go where it goes a lot of the times. And it's not as rigid of a study as some Bible studies I've done. And I think that caters to us and all of our personalities.
Cool.
Yeah, I would say when I'm having trouble finding the good, putting myself around other people, even if it's not, other Christians or the women's group that I'm in, I find that I have to be very purposeful with what I watch on TV, what I consume on social media, the people that I surround myself with. And it's not just, for mental health reasons, it's literally just a survival instinct.
Yeah.
And, it is a women's group, but I do strongly feel that Melissa leads this group. It's Melissa's women's group, and it's Icon's women's group, but Melissa has done an amazing job of not only leading, but orchestrating a lot of really amazing and good things that the group has done. And it would not be the same without her leadership.
So cool. You guys have the longest running group, I think. Even from groups I've been a part of in the past, I just feel like sometimes it feels like magic to me. Like when I look at your group, that's like the word that comes to mind when I look at what you guys are creating, because, I just have watched you guys take care of people and take care of one another, and form this really beautiful community that clearly is doing good, and clearly you are finding goodness in that, or you wouldn't all still be a part of it, And I think sometimes we can think that, when we talk about looking for the good, yeah, we can look around us and say, oh, well, that's good, or that's a good thing that's happening, or that person is doing something good. But I think there's also something to be said about being a willing participant in bringing goodness to others. And so could you guys maybe kind of take turns talking about that a little bit, about why, because for people who don't know, so this women's group has, over the course of the time they've been together, have multiple times have put together gift baskets for people, and I'm going to have them share in a little bit some of the things that they've been a part of and really blessing others. But for you guys, why is it that why is it important to you that not only do you look for goodness kind of around you, but that you are a willing participant in bringing goodness to other people? Why is that a value for you?
I'll start with this one because it's kind of true to the core of when I took on this group, that it was imperative to me that I give back. I feel most connected to my relationship with God and even in community, when I'm giving back of myself, of my time, my energy, my resources, if I can give back, that's a big thing for me. So when I started to kind of look at like, well, what do I want this group to be, and how can I facilitate that, it started with how can we bless others. And really, I loved the, if you guys haven't watched, Dan did a sermon about #blessed a long time ago. And it just hit home with me that I did not want to live a life where we were just #blessed, that we wanted to do good. We wanted to go out and we wanted to bless others in a way. And I'm so emotional right now because this group just means a lot to me. And your words, Adrienne, just mean a lot to me. So this group honestly ran with that idea. If we heard of someone that was in need, it was like, hey, I have a friend, and it was like sending you money. Here's the Venmo, you know, and it was like, how much do we need? What do we need? What do they need? And we've done snack drops for people who, in my mind too, people should never have to worry about food in a crisis, or in a big transition. And so we always kind of revert to like, how can we feed these people? How can we provide them a need? How can we give them, you know, whatever they need, groceries, just care, and how can we love on them? So we typically do that with a lot of food and a lot of just blessings. We've done themed gifts, we've done congratulatory gifts, we've done like emergency need help gifts, we've just gifted so much. So we really, there's no limit to what we do.
That's so awesome. So awesome. Adrienne, how about you? Why is it a value to you that you are a willing participant in bringing goodness to others?
You know, the secular world is, you know, my brain's still kind of stuck in marketing mode. So like the way that the secular world wants you to think is you give to get. So the more that you give, whether it's through value in a social media post or whatever, your goal is to get something back. You want them to buy your product. You want them to, you know, give you a like or whatever. And while that is good business sense, to me, that's not good soul sense. That is not what fills my soul. I don't give things to gain friendships. This group has shown me that by participating in giving, it strengthens bonds, especially between women. I mean, it is a women's group. So to me, all of us having that same servant's heart to give is what helps us find the goodness, not just in seeing the joy in other people, although Melissa is very sneaky about her gift drops. She does not take pictures or get sneaky video or anything. All we get is like, this is what they said to me in a text, or sometimes you know, the group will give something and then the person receiving it will write a letter. So like Jenny will like send a picture of a, you know, thank you card that she got in the mail. When the group gave so generously to my family for my son's back to school, I had my son wear the backpack and all the things and made a video. And he was like, thank you, church ladies. You know, I mean, it's just, there's a lot of joy and peace that comes through giving that is unlike any other thing to me on this planet. So I don't know if that answers your question, but
no, it does. And I love the thing that you said about it, like taking care of your soul. Like, I just think that, and then just the whole, like, as you were talking, I'm like, yeah, like giving, like doing good for others, it's not transactional. You know, like there are so
Yes,
many,
that's the perfect
there are
word.
so many times where I think we're tempted to make things transactional, because you're right. Like that's how so many things work around us, is it's like you put an effort so that you can get a certain outcome. You give so that you can get. You know, like there's so many things around us that can be transactional, and I think that's the beauty about truly wanting to do good and to give, is that it's not with the intent to try to get anything for yourself, but it's simply to be able to lift that person up and to help fill that person's soul. And it's just so beautiful. It's such a beautiful picture of what I think we're supposed to be as human beings, as in particular the body of Christ, like the way that we care for each other. And you know, and I love how in scripture where it talks about, you know, how the church is Christ's body, and it's made up of many parts, and each part, you know, does its work. And how also in that, it's like if one part of the body is in need or doesn't have enough, or you know, is struggling, or just needs encouragement, like that's what a body does. Is, you know, again, it's like if I break my leg, like I'm not, like the rest of my body isn't going to just, you know, make the leg try to do things that it can't do. Like, no, the rest of my body is going to kind of compensate for what the leg can't do, and it's going to like help I'm going to find a way to survive and thrive, you know, in the middle of it. And it's the same with us. And I just think that's what you guys have done. You've done that whole, that not transactional, but the giving, because you genuinely want to lift up other people. And it's just really, really beautiful to see that at work.
It's almost my mission to figure out how to be as sneaky as possible when it comes to our drops. And I will literally like drop and run. And, you know, we did one for Dan, and I remember Dan was like waving as I drove by. Like, oh, hi, thank you. So, yeah, we're pretty good about trying to kind of give anonymously. We've never made it mandatory. We've never made it something that is required. And when I sign cards, it's just thank you from the women's group for, you know, what you do for us, or, you know, we are sending you love prayers, whatever. But we've never, it's not something that is, it just comes so naturally. And I am shocked every single time we give and we do another blessing gift. They get bigger every time. It's insane how everything pours in, and like I'm shocked as to how much people have given. It's crazy. It's just it's insane.
Do you have like a rough estimate, like of how much you think over time? And maybe you may not. You might just be like, I don't even know, because it's too much to even count. But
yeah, I mean, we're definitely in the thousands at this point, between grocery gifts and, I mean, we've done a lot of monetary gifts. We haven't done a lot of events just because of COVID.
Sure.
That was something we talked a lot about, that we want to in the future do more like actual, like going to a food bank or a women's shelter, actually giving of our time rather than just resources. But definitely thousands of dollars. Yeah. I can't even.
And how many women are in your group?
On average, we have about 12 that are standard members. Then we have, right now my roster is at 22, but that's kind of, we've had women come and go. We have women who have expressed interest and never come, but they still want to receive the emails just in case, you know.
Yeah.
But normally we have about 12, and there's about 8, I would say, that are really, really core members. We're all in a group text, and we talk regularly, weekly.
12 women over the past, year or so, whatever, have given thousands of dollars toward caring for other people. I mean, it's just, I think sometimes when we when we talk about doing good, and even in this series so far, you know, we've talked about world relief and like giving towards helping immigrants and refugees. We've talked about or just kind of bigger organizations, you know, that people can be a part of, and that's awesome. I also, though, want people to understand that like doing good doesn't have to always look like this big huge thing, that it can happen sometimes in smaller or even just ways that maybe aren't noticed by a lot of people, you know, where it's like these beautiful acts of goodness that are being done that by and large most people aren't ever going to know that you participated in that. And yet, you know, Adrienne, you just said, you know, you were a recipient one time. Dan and I both have been, and it's like it does something to you. It like makes you feel seen when people do that, and that's huge, you know. So I think some people can get a little overwhelmed and maybe feel like I don't have a lot to offer, or I don't have a lot of resources. What would you both say to someone, maybe someone who's watching today that is in that place where they desire to be a part of doing good for others, but maybe they feel like that what they have isn't enough and they're kind of unsure of how to move forward? What would you say to someone like that?
I can answer that.
Sure.
When I first started attending the women's group, I want to say it was right before I was laid off during the height of the pandemic. Mm-hmm. And I was really craving in-person, like person time, Christian women time. Yeah. So this was back when we were all afraid to get within like 20 feet of each other.
Yeah.
So, we went out at the old building and each of us brought beer and sat about 30 feet apart under the overhang. And, we didn't like get really drunk, but we enjoyed some female Christian fellowship time there in the evening. And I just remember going to those and realizing that it wasn't about, putting monetarily a gift together. It was about being a listening ear. A lot of us just really needed somebody to like connect,
Yep.
To listen, to possibly give advice. I think that's what's really awesome about this women's group is that a lot of us are good at just listening. I am not good at listening. I want to know more about the situation so that I can fix it. And so I ask way too many qualifying questions. But Melissa and Jenny and Christine, a lot of these women are just like, I hear you, I see you, I'm sorry that you're going through this. And I think for someone who doesn't have stuff or money, usually has time that they can give of their time. Yeah. And even those folks that don't have a lot of time, just a brief moment of, I hear you, I feel for you, I can relate to what you're going through is extremely powerful and should not be discounted compared to the thousands of dollars thing. Absolutely. I mean, that has impacted a lot of people's lives, but also this group being available to talk about, problems in relationships, career changes, mental health, my kids' health, a lot of us are moms, some of us aren't. So there's a lot of different ways that people can give of themselves that don't necessarily include money or stuff.
Yep.
I think for me, it started to kind of be a shift, doing Night to Shine, and started to kind of change the way I interacted with people on a daily basis, where, I now tell just about every cashier when they say like, thank you, have a good day, I'm like, thank you, I appreciate you. and just changing your language, holding the door, like all of these, the lost art of kindness is really something that has intrigued me since starting this group. So that's something that I really try to work on, and also to show my kids, because it is something that's lost sometimes, to say please and thank you. And it sounds so simple and silly, but even monetary gifts, it can be as simple and, low key as I'm going to pay for the person behind me, at Starbucks. Like, or if it's not monetarily, pick up your phone and spend 5 minutes thinking about, texting. Who have you not talked to recently?
Yeah.
Who needs a check-in? Because isolation is the biggest coping mechanism, and it happens so silently and so quickly.
Yeah.
Where, we think we're fine, and then all of a sudden we're like, man. And even within our group, I start to feel the guilt, because I'm like, whoa, I haven't heard from so-and-so in like a week or 2 weeks, or I need to check in with her and see if everything's okay, if she's okay. And Jenny Alexander is so good at this. Like, she can like feel it when I'm isolating. She can feel it when we're struggling. I just feel like she just is so intuitive. And she's the one that will text me out of the blue. And it fills my heart, makes me feel seen and heard and loved. So, and that's costs nothing.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So much of it is just learning to pay attention, and be mindful and be aware of people around you, and even just, and I love the aspect of this conversation talking about how it doesn't have to be monetary, because I think sometimes too, it's like we feel like unless we have money that we can give to an organization, or unless we can like give money to a person, it feels like, some people might feel like they're counted out of being able to do acts of goodness because they don't have the resources. And so I think it's really important to talk about that aspect, that, yes, that's great to be able to do that, and we're going to celebrate that, and that's huge, because, there is enough. When we all pool our resources together, there is enough to go around. And at the same time, that's just one aspect of doing good, seeing people, hearing people, being there for one another. We need that now so desperately. We need to be heard, to be listened to know that we are seen, to know that we are not alone. Sometimes that's enough to like kind of get us through a rough week, is just when someone acknowledges that they're thinking of us, and that they see us, and that they are praying for us, or whatever it is. Jenny Wisty, part of our church, she will send me these text messages of just, how can I pray for you? I'm so grateful for you. And it's like, I'll read that and I'm like, okay, I'm good for today, because like even just knowing that I'm being thought of and prayed for is so meaningful. And so, yeah, I think that's such an important thing, that it's there's so many ways that we can care for one another, even beyond just the whole resource thing,
And beyond that, I didn't give hundreds of dollars even. It was, we all came together and we reached out to other people who knew the people we were helping. And we said, hey, we're helping these people. Like, would you like to contribute? Like, there are times that some of our women can only give $5.
Yeah.
And that's perfect.
Yeah.
That contributed to the greater goal of helping this person. And when it's a gift that is, one, unexpected, two, like we've never really had a limit where, we're not like fundraising. We're just wanting to bless somebody. So it's like, hey, we get what we get. And I've never had a single person who's received a blessing gift be ungrateful in any way, shape, or form. So I think just give what you have, and don't be afraid or ashamed or scared that it's not enough. Yeah. It's always enough. And when we come together in that community, that's the thing is, when we did Adrian's drop, it was even like, hey, I have an extra box of crayons. Hey, I have an extra, it was stuff we had, some of it. And that's the thing, is sometimes you have stuff that you're not even using, and you're like, oh, hey, you could use this. So it's really just a matter of conversation and figuring out someone's needs. That's the biggest thing, is what do they need and how can we provide that need? Sometimes it is monetarily, and sometimes it's, hey, we know that this person needs community. We know that they need a friend.
Like, what came to my mind with what you're saying is, like, when I first started, I didn't know you guys from Adam, and then you were doing all these drops, and I was like, is this like where you go to work and they're like, hey, coworkers, so-and-so that you don't know is having a birthday. What would you like to give? And you're like, well, I have like $5. I don't know this person. Here's some $5.
Yeah.
And then, but there are other women who, like when Bernice had her baby, some of us wanted to just get her DoorDash. Like, okay, Bernice, what do you want from DoorDash? And then there's another woman in the group who's like, I'm going to make her something. I'm not going to go DoorDash. I want to make her some food and bring it to her house. So there's people that, are brand new, and so they don't really want to give it anything, and they don't have to. It's not like Melissa sits there and is like, goes around the virtual circle, like, how much is, are you going to give $2? Are you, okay, you're only giving $2. Okay. So.
And honestly, knowing that I'm so stealthy that I keep everything kind of on the DL until we do the drop. And then I'm like, hey, we gave a $325 gift card to this family. And they're like, what? And I'm like, so awesome. It's crazy. So I kind of just keep everything super secretive. Like, nobody really knows. And it's not, I think that's the way that it works so well, is like it's a trust thing too. They trust me financially. They trust me as a friend. They trust me to make the right choices in the gifts that we give. And Icon has always done the reverse offering, and I've always loved that because I remember having a conversation maybe with you, Kelly, where it was like, well, there were some people asking, well, what if they use it on drugs? What if they go do bad things with the money? And it was like, we're just going to trust that God has it in our hearts, that we're going to bless them regardless. Yep. And that's always been a part in the back of my mind. Like, we're just going to continue to do it. And there's no stipulations.
Yep. Yeah. I've been thinking lately so much about the concept of abundance versus scarcity. And not in a way of like, I think sometimes the way that we see abundance is like, and I grew up around a lot of people that taught like the prosperity gospel, where it was like God wants all Christians to be rich, basically, and it's like, write on your offering envelope what you want God to give you back for giving. I mean, just garbage, terrible theology. Yeah. The whole thing. So when I talk about abundance, not like this, a lot of times we think of abundance of God wants me to have an abundance. Like I should have, I should be rich. I should have all this stuff. And it's like, no, like I think it's more of a state of mind, than anything else, where it's like, and I loved, Adrienne, what you shared last week at the in-person about when was it at the PAC that they did the food bank did the big food distribution, and how you were talking about how there were people that were concerned because they're looking out and they're seeing the number of people in the parking lot and are starting to get concerned there's not going to be enough, and how the workers kept reassuring everyone, we promise you there is enough. And I think we live in a world that has sort of forced a lot of people to operate in scarcity, because we do live in a world where, unfortunately, it's like there are a lot of people that kind of hold the majority of the resources, while there are literally millions of people who are going without. And so because that's kind of the world we live in, I think a lot of us have a tendency to kind of gravitate towards that or latch onto that, of this like scarcity mindset that there just isn't enough. Like, you know, there's just not enough to go around. And I think like even just you talking about the fact of, look what this group of 12 women can do when everyone plays their part, does like, you know, some might, for some, order and DoorDash, that is their deal. And then for people who like to cook, maybe they want to cook a meal, but it's like they're both, you know, they're still both giving in a way that feels good for them, and that they want to be able to help. And I just think that's what I just keep thinking about, is like abundance and scarcity, and how when we all come together, there is enough. Like, of course, no one individual is going to be able to take care of or provide for every single person in their community. Like, that's just not how it's supposed to work. But when we all give our $2 or our $5 and everyone's doing that, you know, it's just, I think that's just a beautiful, beautiful picture of of what the church is meant to be. You know, that I think in the book of Acts, when they talk about how they all pooled their resources together, and it said no one went without. Everyone's needs. Can you imagine? Like, gosh, when I think about goodness, I'm like, can you just imagine if we started seeing shifts like that, not just in our churches, but like in our communities, where it was like, we find out that there's certain people that are maybe living in food insecurity, and we're like, no, that doesn't have to happen, because there is enough. Like, if we all come together, we can ensure that there is enough for everyone. And I think what I love about the stories you're telling and about your group is, I feel like you guys are such an inspiration to the rest of us, that really is true, you know, that there really is enough to go around, and that really beautiful things can happen when we decide that we are going to truly care for one another. So thank you guys for modeling that so beautifully within your group of how to live in community with each other, how to care for each other, how to provide for one another. I'm just so impressed by you guys, and so inspired by the work that you guys are doing, and the way that you're just putting yourselves out there and really, really showing up, and you really are being the embodiment of love in the things that you're doing. I love it. I think you guys are doing such good work. Do either of you guys, we'll go ahead here in a second and start to wrap this up. But do either of you guys have any just kind of parting words or anything, any words of encouragement or anything that you would like to say as we wrap up?
I think the biggest reveal for me recently, and kind of the way that God has spoken to me in this group, is it is rare. It's rare to have this community of women. And I don't know if it's we as women, especially in our group, think that we need to do all of it ourselves, and that kind of sharing is weakness. But I guess my encouragement would be, find your tribe of women, that you can be yourself, you can be different, you can all have the same views, you can have different views, but find your tribe of women, because I honestly know this is a lifeline. And talking to my sister who's within the church, she's like, I just wish I had something like this. Mm-hmm. And, whether you have to create it, whether it's small and mighty, if you're a group of 2 or 3, but, make it a priority. Make it a priority to find those women, and don't feel weird about making new friends, because that's really hard.
Yeah. And
reaching out and trying to be yourself. And it's really hard to be yourself with all your messy bits too. But
yeah,
we as women, we need to help each other. We need to support each other. You need your tribe of women. You just do. So that would be my encouragement, is I feel like now more than ever, we as women really need to support each other and just see what we can do with all of the amazing gifts that we have, and we can give to others.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. Adrian, any parting words you would like to share?
I think I'll just piggyback off what Melissa said, in that finding your tribe of women, or of men, or co-ed, you know, being able to find that group, and don't go into it thinking, okay, how can I help change the world? You know, how can I get food to everyone? How can I help every homeless person in Austin, Texas?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you are not going to be able to do it all. And even though you may find a really kick butt group of people, that even they can't do it all.
Yeah.
And it's important to know that you can do good, and you've got to have realistic expectations of the people in the group, as well as what the group can do. And I think that's another thing that makes Icon especially unique, is that Icon does a really good job of looking at what good is from a lot of different angles. And it is amazing what people can do when we pool our resources together. What people can do when we have good leadership like Melissa, like you, Kelly. But at the same time, that leadership in that group has to know that doing good is also, like, doing just enough is also good. I don't know if I'm making myself clear. Like, you are enough.
Yeah.
And if you're doing good, that's enough.
Yeah.
I know myself personally, I'm like, well, I couldn't, you know, I passed this homeless guy on the way to South Park Meadows and I didn't give him any cash. I'm not a good person. Or, you know, the women's group helped our family financially as far as getting my son back to school supplies and working with us on some food stuff. But I wasn't able to help every other single woman in the group, you know. So knowing that you're enough and the amount of good that you can give is enough is super important.
Yeah. Yep.
I also think as leadership, in which I hate that word, I prefer facilitator almost, but because I feel like I'm just one of them. There's not anything special necessarily about me, but I feel like as someone who's kind of driving the ship a little bit, you have to know when we can't constantly be taxing our resources. We take breaks, you know. Sometimes it's a busy season in life. Sometimes it's a busy transition. Sometimes it's hard for me. You know, my husband's been out of work for 5 months. Like, I haven't been able to drive the ship, and I'm not going to ask of them more than I would ask of myself. So, you know, that can play a factor in a little bit of imposter syndrome. Like, just knowing how to look at all the things that you have as resources, and knowing that, you know, we can't constantly be doing a Bible study, but knowing that there is good in the fact that we're going to go on a hike together. And we all need that. You know, when we get together, there is good. And that's the thing, is whether there's more good, I feel like, that comes from us coming together in community than the thousands of dollars that we could ever drop at somebody's door.
Wow.
So that, to me, is what that's really where the gold is, you know, those moments where we sat under that awning 6 feet away from each other and had beers, filled my soul.
Yeah.
It saved me that day, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that's the biggest thing, is knowing your resources and knowing when you can give, even if it's just giving of your soul, a little bit of your soul.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. It is. I mean, sometimes the best thing we can do for someone is just to sit and be present. that is just, it's huge. It's huge. And I think, learning, using that discernment of being realistic with our capacity, that doesn't, like you said, Adrienne, that doesn't make us less than, or, knowing your capacity and knowing your boundaries and knowing what, like, your limits, is actually healthy and good. And that enables other people to step up, like there are times when I will be tapped out and I won't have anything else to contribute in that moment, but other people will. And so it's that, and again, that's the beauty of all of us coming together, is there's times when we can give financially and times when we can't, and that's okay, because when we can't, other people can, and then we can celebrate. How cool is that they're able to, even though right now I can't, but like celebrating when other people can, and not taking on that mentality that it has to be all us all the time, because that's impossible. We can't do that. But when we look at it as a group effort, it's like our capacity multiplies, when it's a group effort, because it doesn't have to always be each of us doing everything all the time. And it does take that discernment and being able to, like, know when it's time to press in and when it's time to kind of take a break, and that's okay. Yeah. Well, I guess we've been talking for 45 minutes, you guys. I seriously thought we'd only been talking for like 20, and I was like, holy cow, we have really been going. So, but it's great, because everything you guys said has been so good and so hopeful and so encouraging and inspiring. And I'm hoping that people that are watching today will listen to you guys and hear the things that you're a part of, and that will compel them to find our people. We need to find our people that we can connect with, and that we can not only find goodness together, but then be willing participants in goodness with one another. So we'll go ahead and wrap it, but thank you guys both for taking the time to chat with me, and I'm looking forward for everyone to be able to hear this conversation and to be encouraged by it. So thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly.
Well, I hope that was encouraging for all of you. Again, Adrienne and Melissa, thank you for taking the time last night amidst your busy schedules to be able to have that conversation and to spread some inspiration and encouragement to everyone. And just, as we wrap up this series of Where is the Good, I just want to encourage all of you, all of us, to be attentive and to pay attention around us. I hear screaming children, so Dan just... Okay, there was like some major screaming downstairs, so hopefully everything's fine. We'll see. So the beauty of recording from your house when your young kids are downstairs. But anyway, as we wrap up this series and we move forward into our weeks, I just want to encourage all of us to be attentive and to pay attention around us, and to be willing and active participants in bringing good to people around us, and knowing when we need to be on the receiving end of goodness, and not being too prideful, or not allowing ourselves to be taken care of and to be the ones on the receiving end. There are times when we need that. And so I would just say for everyone, maybe this week, maybe find even just 1 or 2 ways that you can be an active participant in bringing good to those around you. Maybe it's a coworker, maybe it's someone in your own family, maybe it's a neighbor, or a friend, or whatever. Just find 1 or 2 ways this week that you can be an active participant in doing good in someone else's life, whether that's to provide a listening ear, bringing someone coffee, cooking someone a meal, getting someone a gift card, offering to go out for a drink or for coffee and just to listen to that person and to be there for them. Let's just be active and willing participants this week in bringing good to the world around us, because it matters and it's needed, and we are all better for it. So just a reminder that at 11 o'clock today, we have the eKids preschool Zoom. So parents of preschoolers, you can join that Zoom at 11 for just some good community quality time for your preschoolers with other kiddos their age. So we'd love to have you hop on for that. And then starting next week, we are going to be going into a new series called Poetry in Motion, where we're actually going to be taking a look at some of the more poetic books in Scripture. So Psalms, Proverbs, Job, Ecclesiastes, those types of things. We're going to be taking a dive into what these beautiful poetic books in Scripture, what those things can teach us and what we can gain from that can be helpful for our lives. So thank you all so much for joining us today. I hope you guys have a fantastic Sunday, and we will see you back here next week.